I'm joined today by Sheena Watt. Sheena is a Yorta Yorta woman and a member of the Legislative Council representing the Northern Metropolitan region. She is speaking to us this NAIDOC week when Australia celebrates and recognises the history, culture and achievements of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Welcome, Sheena.
Thanks, good to be here.
Can you start by telling us a little bit about your background? How did you come to be a Member of Parliament? You've been in almost 4 years now.
So just before Parliament, I actually had a role supporting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander young people to get their first ever job out of school, whether it be an apprenticeship or a traineeship, right across the country actually. So that I felt sort of skilled me up well for some of the challenges that are out there in employment and racism and discrimination, and felt by sort of all corners of our community.
Some First Nations people find it an intimidating building to go into because of the history. How did that strike you when you became a member?
I hadn't actually ever fully explored this building, and I remember walking around and seeing it as a place that celebrated and honoured the achievements of former political leaders. But some of those political leaders made decisions about the lives and livelihoods and rights of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people for a really long time. Decisions that are still felt by our community today. So for me, I find myself constantly sort of challenged with being an Aboriginal woman, but also being a member of this place, a place that now makes decisions about the future lives of Aboriginal people. So I just hope to make a good impact, and I can never erase the past, but I can certainly hope to rewrite a much brighter future for Aboriginal people in Victoria.
And do you think that sort of the Parliament, even the architecture of the Parliament, do you think that's one of the barriers? And do you think that there are things that can be done to address that?
Well, for a long time, people said that's just not a place where Aboriginal people go. It's not a place where we're heard, and it's not a place where we're seen. And that was the message I got when I was younger. And now I'm really proud that that is changing. So the Parliament recently hosted an exhibition in Queen's Hall to acknowledge the stolen generations, and I remember speaking to some elders there, and they said we never thought we'd see the day where there'd be an Aboriginal person elected here. And they've seen it now, a couple of times, in fact, in the last few years. And so for me, that's a big shift. And now when young ones come through, and I've hosted young people from regional Victoria, and I'm organising some tours for the second half of the year as well, I'm trying to shift that, because that might be a thinking that reflected the times of many years ago, but it's not the thinking of today. And I've noticed some changes in the way Parliament does business, like the fact that our tours now incorporate much more of a stronger element of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander history. I couldn't imagine that was the case 10 or 15 years ago, but from time to time I walk past a tour guide showing some school kids or some visitors around, and I hear them speaking with great pride about the history of this place before it was built, and that fills me up, and I'm really happy to hear that.
And of course you talked about the artworks, the paintings of the former premiers, but there's also now the Tom Day painting.
I'm really happy about that piece. I got to tell you, it plays centre stage when I'm running the tours, but when I see that the tour, when the Tom Day's art piece kind of lights up the hall, and communities see it and hold it in great pride. I don't know that Tom now knows, but I'm hoping he gets this message that having his piece in our Parliament drives reconciliation in a very real way each and every day. I love that little corner of Parliament House where I can see our Aboriginal honour roll, and I can see culture so proudly displayed in the building. That wasn't the case not so long ago, and now it is very prominently placed in our Parliament, and I just love it.
And what about avenues to influence policy? I'm thinking of the committees, for instance.
I saw who was coming before our committees, who was presenting to our parliamentary committees on and advocating for, their community's aspirations. And what I wasn't seeing was enough Aboriginal voices. And so whether it's a work with our secretariats and our committees to make sure we reach out to Aboriginal communities, or even the power of the regional sitting for the Legislative Council and making a much stronger Aboriginal story be part of that. There is opportunities for Aboriginal people to be heard, whether it's the lobbying visits that happen and working with community organisations to get them in the building, as well as the parliamentary committees, making sure that community members and organisations are across some of the bills that are before us. So that's been a sort of exciting thing that I've been working with some community organisations about, is when bills come up that really directly affect Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, that they know about it and they have a bit of a say in what it means for them. And having someone in the parliament speak to their experiences, it really matters. So I'm doing my bit, but there's obviously so much more that we can continue to do.
So NAIDOC Week this year, the theme is keep the fire burning, black, loud and proud. What does that mean to you?
I love NAIDOC Week. I don't know who it is that comes up with the themes, but this one is, it's a ripper. We had a pretty big blow with the referendum result here in Victoria, and I, as somebody who pushed, really, really hard for a yes vote and ultimately didn't succeed, the community's feeling a little bit bruised. And so this theme this year is about us coming together in the first NAIDOC week since the referendum and reminding ourselves that we are here and we are strong, we are resilient and we can recover. And even though I'm hearing more and more stories about racism in our community, particularly off the back of the referendum result, I know that we will get past this and we will regather and regroup and think about what's next. And I think that's what this theme is about, us having some, internal Aboriginal community conversations about next steps and reminding ourselves that our elders and our ancestors that have fought for rights and recognition for many, many years did so in some really troubled times. And they did so and they fought decisions that were made in this place, but also, parliaments and councils all over the place. And so I'm just confident that this theme this year will force us to reimagine our future. Yeah, and looking forward to it. Yeah, and also just getting amongst the community again and celebrating the fact that we're still here, we're still proud, we're still deadly, and we're going to get on with it.
Great. Well, Sheena Watt, thanks so much for talking to us today.
Thank you.